several things on here besides the agenda. The first thing up is, we'll do this real quick. I'll take one and pass it along, thank you. This is the, here's,
I didn't see it, thank you.
yeah. This is the council committees that we address every year. I'll start at the bottom real quick. The cemetery board, we are off this year. We still are part of the cemetery board. It's just we don't attend meetings, we don't sign checks, we don't sign any of the, deeds. However, Jeff will come to me if there's something big. And the annual meeting will still be held here. They like doing it here, they do it in there, and everybody shows up. So we're off, Sagamore's back on. And we have a new person, the new mayor for Northville Village. It is now the rep, since their mayor resigned. Then everything below, from finance on down, is we appoint whoever we want, we volunteer for whichever one we want. The only ones we vote on are the council president, vice president, and we have voted on Parks and Rec Commission. That's it. The rest. So if you have a desire to move to a different, most of these have not met, other than cemetery and Parks and Rec. The finance committee, we need to get back on some schedule. So let me know. I think we can just leave it the way it is, if everybody's okay with it.
Fine by me.
So you're okay with staying on
Yes,
on cemetery, Jan?
That's what,
You're okay with staying on cemetery?
Yes.
Okay.
well, I don't have to do anything.
Right.
It's even better
Yeah, it's even
for
better.
me this year. And then what I think we'll do is next year, Mr. Finley, if it's still us, we'll have you come to them so you can see. So we can start moving that over. We still have some big issues to handle there, but a lot of work's been done, but it would be good for you to do. Okay, so the three that we have to elect is council president, vice president, and Parks and Rec. So the first thing up would be council president.
I nominate Jessica Brandt.
All right, that's done on the floor. So is there any other discussion?
I thought we always did that first in here and then took it
Yeah,
out
I
to the
thought we did
floor.
in here too.
So you can generally discuss, who you would like to nominate on the floor.
Right.
Generally that's good to do in advance in case somebody does not want the nominations, not comfortable with it. But what'll happen once you get out on the floor, the mayor will open up the nominations. Each council member gets to nominate one person per one position. Once there's no more nominations, the mayor will close nominations. Then you guys can vote on the candidates in order, the order that they were nominated.
Yeah. I remember starting it in the work session first. in the
Yes.
past.
Well, we don't vote on it.
No.
We just put the names out.
Yeah, and you
That's
can do
all.
that.
That's
You
all
can
I'm
do
saying,
that.
is we're putting the names out. Is there any other person? If not, how about vice president?
I nominate Jeff Garvis.
I personally would like the position,
I'll nominate Jan Tully.
only because then I can assist for the first year.
That would be nice.
Parks and Rec,
I would really like to keep this position. I'm really happy with it. I
can you
love
get the trails done?
We are $100,000
Do you know
a year
when I
to do
started
trails.
that? John Hauser. We used to play soccer at Broadview Heights. I came back, I said, have you seen our trails?
Yes, our trails are going to be awesome. I promise, as Parks and Rec Commission Council representative, to do something awesome with trails. So
The
that's my
reason being
vote
is,
for me.
we like,
I'll make it official. I'll nominate you for Parks and Recs.
what we
Thanks,
may
I
be able to
appreciate it.
do is get the cross-country team.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If we had a trail, because when
Well,
you
we're
go to
working on
play
it.
soccer, when they play soccer at other high schools, cross-country teams are running all over the place.
Yeah,
So
we're working on bringing the trails out of the woods. So Jason's working on something to maybe get paved trails so we can have some ADA compliance on there and get some different people out into the woods. So
into the
it'll be
woods.
awesome. Yes, we're gonna put,
Did you ever hear that?
yes.
Into the
So
woods.
we're gonna go into the woods. Get in there,
We're
folks.
going into the woods.
Councilmember Tully, quick interjection. We do have cross-country at our trails already.
Oh, you do? Oh, yeah, you just started that.
Eat.
Yeah, we run meets.
How do you do that? There's not enough room for two teams to run.
We run meets with lots of teams.
They're all skinny.
I'm
They're pretty
surprised.
skinny.
You don't run the trails. And how come then they practice on my road
They
every
just check
day?
them.
I can't speak for the coaches. that do
I
during
just, they're running up the hill and I'm like,
The one thing I know for a
nuts.
fact though, they
You guys are
rotate
nuts.
areas. 'Cause
All right.
they don't always want.
So we'll do that out on the floor. We'll leave the committees as is. Okay, the one thing I would ask, thank you for all the information you sent, or I'm not sure if you sent it or the ladies did.
Oh, I did.
If we could set up finance meetings so we can go into detail about that.
How frequently do we want to do that? Anybody?
Okay,
I don't know, at the beginning of the year. Did you get my email about the PDF was wrong?
PDF? No.
The expense one was only one page.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, I replied to you.
Ah,
You been napping all day?
made a
Well,
mistake.
we s-
Darn it, mark that down.
take a look at all
So
the
I suspect
info.
everybody read it, you know?
Take a look at all the info and we'll set up a meeting,
Anyway, resend the expense.
the first
please.
quarter meeting. You know, we've got all the info, but we need,
So I guess one.
okay.
Yep, that sounds
Um, Then going through, we have the approval of the minutes. Thank you, John, for getting to us. That'll be Jessica with me.
No.
First up is number, and then we go to, if you notice on the agenda, we have the election of council officers. Public comments, there won't be any unless
Unless
you've
there
got written
are.
ones, the same as correspondence. Did you get any?
Correspondence sheet.
Okay. Then number 80 is the motor vehicle law that we're going to put into place up for second reading.
We want to just do a second reading. I mean, it's been quite a while since, it's been over a month already that the people have.
But it was, a holiday month, so I have no problem. I think since we have no hurry on this, I have no problem going with 3. What does everyone else think?
With 2?
Vinny would like 2, I would prefer 3.
I generally prefer we do all 3 of them, just to give everybody every opportunity, unless there's a legitimate reason to expedite them.
No.
Do you have anything to say, sir?
About
About the-
ordinance 80, the
You know, the
cars.
vehicles that are being parked and left down.
Do we need to pass it urgently, or can we go
No,
another
we,
reading?
I think just go to 3 readings.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
So we'll do second reading. And for the behalf of the public, we really should go, unless it's house one, just house cleaning. We should always do 1, then 2, then 3 in different readings. Okay, and that's, Mr. Ventura owns that one, and Mr. Garvis is the second. Then we have a new one, Emission Tax Regulations.
I can explain a little bit. We have several businesses that charge an emissions tax. There's a new business online, Fandango, you guys might have probably heard of that. They reached out to us and asked us how to, get the emissions tax forms and submit the emissions tax. So when I looked into it, I looked at our current holders like Cinemark and Fun and stuff. We're charging $5 a year and sending out a certificate and invoice to collect $5 a year. Every year. And the mayor has to sign it every year. So my suggestion is one upfront registration fee of $50, and it's pretty much indefinite unless the entity changes, right, Mark?
The owner of the operations
Okay.
changed it.
Why not 0? Just get rid of it
Just
completely.
because when it's 0, people tend to not do anything. When you charge something, it kind of makes it official.
Becomes more above board.
Yeah,
But there's a fee.
Does this change our admission to the rec center?
no,
$50 once? Okay, I like that. So we have a mission fee. Okay, any questions, further questions? If not, that is kind of housekeeping. So we can do 1, 2, 3. It's actually for the better of the application, because they don't have to think every year, oh, I gotta submit again.
Right,
They're good for 10 years.
right. Well, they're
They're good
good.
indefinitely.
They're good indefinitely
I
unless.
know, but if they
Yeah.
look at the dollars today.
Right, right.
Right.
No, I was there, I was thinking the same thing. At least we're covering 10 years worth of administrative costs,
Okay, so
cutting them.
that's Mr. Garvis with Ms. Brandt. Then we come to the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as parts of the various component codes of the codified ordinances. Is that a mouthful? Do you want to explain that?
Sure. So this is an item that council normally would have passed last year, and you can thank Mr. Hoover for being diligent in reviewing emails that the council clerk's office previously received prior to his tenure and identifying that this was not forwarded in as timely a manner as is normally done. So I do recommend council pass this tonight. You can view it as a housekeeping measure. It's to bring the local code up to date with the state law changes from the prior years. And there will be another one, since this one's a little bit tardy, there will be another one in the upcoming months once the city's codifier forwards those changes.
Are you the tardy one?
No.
Do I have to put you in the corner?
No, I cannot take credit for that.
Okay. I've known him too long, I can threaten him. I'll get Meredith to talk to you. You don't want that.
I'll take a pass on that.
Okay, everyone, if there's no other questions, 1, 2, 3 on that one. Then our last one, we already had a preview from the chief. This is the one for our wonderful fire engine. If you're doing anything, trying to buy anything, you understand exactly what he's going through. My kids are redoing their bathrooms, well, maybe in another couple months, they can't get parts. New garage door, that's almost 6 months.
Wow.
So, and then I talked to somebody today whose refrigerator died, and they found one they like, but they won't get it till April.
Oh, jeez.
So,
They say April now.
would you like to explain this?
Well, this was on it's been in a 5-year plan, was scheduled for 2023. I did in fact mention this back in October when we purchased the squad it was in the capital for 22 for this year. Once again, as Mrs. Tully so eloquently stated, supply chain issues are definitely driving this to January, along with the economic issue of talking with our sales rep. February 1st, there's a 5% price increase on $800,000. That becomes substantial. Also, there are anticipating a 1.5% increase. That's called an increase. It's essentially a steel surcharge, so that pushes it to over $50,000. We do it now, we beat all that. Now, originally I thought I'd bring it, we talked about it tonight, I'd bring it forward to legislation at the end of the month. The dealer needs it at least a week prior to February 1st, so he can do what they have to do to it to get it to the manufacturer in Wisconsin. Sideline Atlantic Emergency Solutions is a new company on
Empire
Parkway. They are the Pierce dealer. They're employing multiple people working on fire trucks there, so that's just another benefit to us that we'll be able to have it serviced right in the city, easy. It's replacing a 1999 engine that if you looked at it sitting in the beige right now, there's nothing wrong with it. You climb underneath it, it's been 22, 23 years now in Ohio winters in salt. So that's when we start electrical issues and things like that. And also our governing bodies, NFPA and things like that, they want to replace every 15 years, and we push it to, this one at this point is 23 years old.
Is there a guarantee that if we do this, it's capped? Or can they come back and say, oh, by the way, this now costs this?
No, it's a contract, it's state purchasing.
Okay, so it'll be capped.
Right.
What we agree upon that's a good thing to know, because in the world today.
Well, the way Mark wrote the legislation, I appreciate it, not more than 800,000 because, excuse me, we still have some work to do on it. So we will sign a contract that will all likely be less than $800,000. But I didn't want to hog tie us down to a number and then go, now what? And then I'm coming back because I can't spend more than what you guys authorize. So when it's said and done, I'll definitely report back to you guys what we all ultimately are gonna pay for it.
And that ribbon cutting's Tuesday.
Oh, it is?
Yes. So you may
Oh,
want
that's right, yeah, I think I'm going, 18th or something.
Any questions?
I actually asked about a discount and I got back some information from the finance director, so I thought I'd share it. Because we're gonna pay for this within 30 days, right?
Well, whenever he says we need to pay for it.
Right. There's language in one of the exhibits that says if we pay for it in full through the financing, we actually save something like $25,000 on top of the.
It's 2%, I believe.
Yeah.
Very cool.
The only other question I have for you is, what will we do with the engine it's replacing? Will we keep it, auction it?
Probably auction it, they're not giving anything, and you know, in auction, you don't get anything either. I mean, our old tower sold for $4,000. And it actually was purchased by an individual in Richfield who uses it to put up his Christmas lights on a large pine tree.
Why didn't you give me that?
And sets it up and uses it as a diving platform for his farm pond.
That's
Okay.
crazy. Okay.
That's
Could have been
crazy.
yours for
Could have been mine.
$4,500.
Right.
Yeah, that legislation to finance it will come before you guys too.
Okay.
Look good in your driveway too, block the whole thing.
Are we gonna be able to approve that financing legislation on time?
We're working with the supplier to determine when they need the money, yeah,
So would the intent be have it next meeting?
maybe.
Financing? That's
Because
up to the
I
finance
think we all
group.
agree, we want to nail it down.
Well, because
Well,
that document says you have to pay within 30 days of signing the contract.
Right.
That's the only thing I was.
So we just won't sign it for a while.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
sign it.
then the price will go down. They're thinking of raising interest.
No, we're
rates again.
definitely on top of when, finding out when they actually need
Yeah,
that.
the money, they need a purchase order.
Yeah.
John's issue is he can't do a purchase order. He can obviously plan better than I until the funds are there and financing is secured. We don't actually owe them a check until delivery. If you pay early, you get the 2%.
I could do, to correct you, I could do the purchase order knowing that the financing is in the process of,
Imminent.
yeah.
Well, if we pass this tonight, it kind of gives you the now
Yeah, right, to do
approval,
it,
so you
you're
can
right.
say, they told.
Here's the purchase order.
Yeah,
we're
if they
working
say
on.
to you, well, do they approve it? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, here.
Right.
the first step, yeah.
The mayor will actually sign the contract when it's finalized sometime next week. We'll sign that, send it, and that will certainly, essentially, we're getting in line. They expect the lead time to be out to 18 months. We won't
Yeah.
see this truck until next summer.
So next week, I'll get a couple proposals for not to exceed 800,000 over a 10-year period, at least to buy.
I guess that's actually a better time frame than if you try and buy a new car, it's not being built from scratch.
Well,
Because
we
there are none.
Last March, we purchased the assistant chief's car. We still haven't got a build date yet.
It's,
March?
Well, we were surprised because we got a phone call in November and we thought, ooh, they're calling to say our car's coming. No, they called to say that the manufacturer finally accepted the order and agreed to build the vehicle. That was from March to November.
And we're waiting on two Ford 750s that you guys approved the financing for probably back in March or April.
Is this, are we able to do this purchase partly in thanks to the new safety fund?
Yes.
Yes.
We try to make sure that we mention that
Mhm.
out on the thing.
You just nominated yourself?
All right.
I don't think.
any other questions?
We'll get that thing.
On the
Anything
TV.
for you?
No, just as the chief noted, the reason you can do this with one piece of legislation is because it is through the Department of Administrative Services Cooperative Purchasing Program, so no competitive bidding needed as a result.
Anyone have a problem doing this? Because we've already blessed it, it's kind of like coming back because the changes in doing this 1, 1, 2, 3.
I'm totally.
Let's do it.
Okay,
I appreciate it.
so that's me and Jess. And then at the bottom is the adjournment. And we have, I don't have any other motions or legislation at this point. Does anybody else? I will be asking for an executive session tonight for council. only. So, can you second it? I was gonna do it right before the, when you go new business, and then before the adjournment. That way, if anybody's out there, you know, like we normally do, all we do is come back and adjourn.
I think we're gonna have a full house tonight.
Can we,
Well, no, we're doing this on line too, though, aren't we?
Yeah,
It was
The
broadcast,
public,
yeah.
so, yeah.
are we gonna let the department heads adjourn when we come in? Like, can they leave?
Yeah, normally
Yes.
they do.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that was, yep.
It's not gonna be very, it's not gonna be very long,
Their boss approved.
so it'll just be boom, and then we'll go out, and then we'll make the adjournment.
I have a question. Is there a reason why our law director is not included in this meeting, in this executive session?
Not needed, I can't explain it right here.
I think he's always needed. That's our legal advisor. And I consider him my personal legal advisor as a member of city council.
He's already okay with it.
Well, it's up to council whether to invite.
Well,
the law
I'm not
director
okay
or
with that. I want that on record. I'm not okay with the law director not being in on a meeting. That's not talking about him. So if that's the case and we're not talking about him, I will object to
Oh, we're
that.
not talking about him.
Well, then I object to that.
Fine. We're talking about you.
That's
Want to
right.
get your lawyer?
Yeah, I got plenty of them.
I figured you did. Thank you, sir. Okay, Patty break.
Can I get 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Service staff, but the service building that we have been working on is now paused. We've got some forecast of numbers that are outrageous in terms of what we're trying to do and what we're budgeting for, so I have a plan B, somewhat of a plan C that I'm working on, but for right now, the building is paused based on the cost that they're showing me, because what we thought the costs were per square foot has nearly doubled. And I anticipated some of that, but I didn't think it was gonna be twice the cost. So I'm still working on something. The safety of our employees is paramount for me. I'm gonna do something no matter what to make sure that they're in an environment and in a building that's suitable to their needs and most importantly, safe. So no matter what, I will be doing something to make sure of that. But as of right now, the grand plan that we have proposed is paused.
Doesn't surprise me because a certain builder in this area has doubled his cost
Wow.
in just a small home. I can imagine, because you know how they always have the sign starting at? Yeah. It's
Oh,
like,
wow.
oh my gosh. Okay. So with the size of that, and again with the supplies not being available, and do they have workers? That's the
Yeah.
other problem.
Well,
Do you have anybody who can put it together?
The benefit we have with this is because of the size and scope of the project. They didn't anticipate that we'd have a problem getting a contractor to do the work, but they want to get paid, and I think that they're off their rocker, to be honest.
Yeah, if you need a
They're
job,
trying to take advantage of the market.
And everybody is, but,
Yeah.
you know, at some point, you gotta look at them and go, no, that's not happening.
hey, if you need a job, there are none. Just drive down that way in Chamberlain. you'll-
Talk to every business I speak to, and they go, we need help.
Just talking to Dan Stanko.
Hello and welcome to the January 13th council meeting. It is 7:30 PM. Will Mr. Hoover please call the roll?
Ms. Brandt.
Here.
Mr. Finley.
Here.
Mr. Garvis.
Here.
Ms. Tully.
Here.
Mr. Ventura.
Here.
And now I'd like to ask Tom O'Brien from the American Legion to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocations.
With bowed heads, let us pray. Almighty God, Father of all mankind and Judge over nations, we pray thee to guide our work in this meeting. We pray for those who serve the people and guard the public welfare, those civil servants who work at City Hall and throughout our community, that by thy blessing they may be enabled to discharge their duties honestly and well. We pray for our local leaders, that by thy help they may provide the leadership our community has empowered them with. Finally, O God of mercy, we ask thy blessing and comfort for our neighbors who may be suffering mental or physical disability. Cheer them and bring them thy blessing of health and happiness. And now, please face the flag and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Okay, approval of minutes from Thursday, December 9th, 2021.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from Thursday, December 9th, 2021, as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, next is the election of council officers. For those of you that don't know, we do this the first meeting of January every year to make changes or keep things the same in terms of president, vice president, and parks and rec. So I will start and open the nominations for council president.
I nominate Jeff Garvis. I'm sorry, I nominate Jessica Brandt. Excuse me, I nominate Jessica Brandt.
Are there any other nominations? With that, I will close the nominations and we will put that to a vote. All in favor of Jessica Brandt for council president?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next up is vice president. I will open the nominations for vice president.
I nominate Jeff Garvis for vice president of city council.
I nominate Jan Tully.
Okay, we'll go to a vote. First one will be Mr. Garvis. Should we do a roll call on that, Mark?
You can.
We'll do a roll call, please.
Ms. Brandt,
Nay.
Mr. Finley,
Who are we doing first?
This was Jeff.
Yes.
Mr. Garvis,
Yes.
Ms. Tully,
No.
Mr. Ventura.
Yes.
Okay, congratulations, Mr. Garvis.
Thank you.
Are the vice president. So I don't need to go to the next one, correct, Mark?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, you could have time. One and five.
All right, last but not least is our Parks and Recreation Commission. I will open nominations.
I nominate,
Jessica Brandt.
Any other nominations? I will close nominations. And can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Brandt,
Yes.
Mr. Finley,
Yes.
Mr. Garvis.
Yes.
Ms. Tully,
Yes.
Mr. Ventura.
yes.
They must really like you on
Thank
that
you
board.
all. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I don't think anybody could fill those shoes. I really don't.
Well, you do a great job of it, so thank you.
Absolutely.
We have a good time.
All right, next up is public comments. Do we have any public comments this evening?
No public comments? Food.
I don't see anyone but staff here, but that's okay. All right, no public comments, so we'll have correspondence from the clerk.
We do have correspondence. This came to Chief Ripley in the fire department as a twofer from the same person. It's a card from Dolores Jacobs at 164 Mark Place Lane in Northfield. It says, Chief Ripley, I would like to express my gratitude to Lieutenant Aberth and Firefighter Schwab for the understanding manner in which they handled my phone call on 12/31/2021. My face is still red since it was a false alarm. My gratitude also to Firefighter Teglicki, who took my call of appreciation on 1/4/22. In the name of all you serve, I thank you. God bless and keep you safe. And then on the inside, there was a special letter to Lieutenant Aberth who said, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's it.
That's good stuff, and thank you, Chief, and your staff, and please make sure that they're aware of the thank you that I got if you haven't done that already. All right, next we'll move into pending or new legislation. First up is ordinance number 80, 2021.
Yes, Mayor, I would like to offer 80/2021 for its second reading by title only.
Second?
An ordinance amending section 1365.08C of the City of Macedonia codified ordinances relative to the regulation of motor vehicles and the maintenance standards portion of the building code.
Thank you. Next up is ordinance number 1, 2022.
Mayor, I'd like to offer ordinance 1, 2022 for its first reading by title only.
Second? Oh, just first reading.
I thought we were doing
I thought we
three.
were
on
doing
that.
3.
I apologize, I wrote it down wrong. First, second, and third reading by title only.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance amending section 189.05 of the codified ordinances of the City of Macedonia relative to admission tax regulations.
Just want to clarify, I didn't point this out, this is only for new applications.
Anybody who we were charging $5 in the past, we're not charging them going forward. It's only for new applicants.
Thank you. And just to be clear too, when we discussed that fee kind of covers our clerical duties that come along with that, so that's part of where that,
Yeah, for that one time.
yeah,
Can I
one
ask
time.
a clarifying question? Sure. So, Mr. Veras, the new approach, if I understood correctly, was a one-time fee, and the existing approach is $5 annually?
Correct.
So would everybody who's currently grandfathered in not have to pay anything, and they are now permanently licensed?
Correct.
Okay, then I understand.
As the law director said, it changed it on
Perfect.
our operation.
Got it. Thank you.
I believe we have a grand total of 2 entities that cost effects.
I didn't know it was that little.
2. So,
Well, this actually only affects, the increase, well, the $50 only affects one.
okay.
The new applicant.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
I'd like to move that we pass and post according to law ordinance 1, 2022.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Ordinance number 1 carries. Ordinance number 2.
I move to offer ordinance number 2, 2022 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance approving the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various component codes of the codified ordinances of Macedonia.
Director Goodetti?
So this is something that council traditionally receives every year, and it's basically legislation updating the city's local codified ordinances to be compliant with changes made by the Ohio General Assembly to the revised code.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, what is your pleasure?
I move to adopt ordinance number 2, 2022 and post the same according to law.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Ordinance number 2 carries. Ordinance number 3.
I'd like to offer ordinance number 3, 2022 for its first, second, and third reading by title only, please.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Atlantic Emergency Solutions for the purchase of a fire engine for the city in an amount not to exceed $800,000.
Chief Ripley, if you can get close to that mic or come to this one, I'd appreciate it.
Just so everyone's aware, we talked about it in the work session, this is replacing a 1999 engine. It's seen its better days, a lot of hours, a lot of rust in Northeast Ohio. It's actually in the 5-year plan for 2023. We're all aware of the supply chain issues our country is experiencing. This is pushing the delivery for this vehicle. We order it tomorrow per se. It still might could be delivered until the summer of 2023. It's written to be no more than $800,000 because we're not quite done with the specs yet, but we have to get it authorized now so we can get it to the dealer so it can make it to the manufacturer by February 1st. And then this truck will be around for 20 plus years. Do we have any questions?
Thank you for thinking ahead to do this and the safety of our residents and employees to have that piece of equipment, because you recognize that we won't get that for quite some time, but you know, your forethought is appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you. What is your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post according to law ordinance number 3, 2022, please.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance number 3 carries.
And on that note, I just also want to thank the residents and the voters, everyone who passed the levy for the Service and Safety Fund. This is why we're able to do this, get this new engine. You know, it paid for the previous, for the ladder truck or the tower truck. Now it's paying for this engine. And it's purely because our voters believe in what all the directors are doing here and believe in our city enough to pass that. So I want to thank the voters for that.
And we want to add that we're going to be financing it at least to buy over a 10-year period.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, next up is the mayor's report. First, I'll start with the mayor's court report. December 2021 revenues were $9,666.50. That's kind of an ominous number to have in there. 2021 total revenue from 1/1 to 12/31 was $171,957.09. You may notice we're all masked up today, and we've had to do some things within City Hall and kind of shut down the building again because we've had a bit of an outbreak running through City Hall. So the safety of our employees is paramount. Obviously, we want to make sure we take care of our employees and be able to be here to serve you. The police and fire and service and everyone are all integral pieces of that. So if you come to City Hall, we do ask that you wear a mask. And again, we try to avoid that if we can in any way, shape, or form. But keeping the folks here safe is very important to us because I don't know if it's the new variant or whatever it may be, but we really need to make sure that we're here to serve you. And that's my number one thing that I want to make sure that I'm doing for the public is that our safety forces especially are here if you need them. And we've experienced quite a bit of COVID cases that, it's just happening everywhere. And the chief threw me a number, and maybe you could help me on this. What was the number of hours we've lost to COVID?
We're over 1,000 hours since December 1st.
1,000 hours since December. That's just the fire department. You really have to put that into perspective and think about 1,000 hours we've lost due to this thing that's going on in society. And it's really kind of scary to think that, if it ran through everybody at once, we would really have to scramble to do that. But we're taking all the necessary precautions to keep ourselves safe, to keep our employees here and protect them. We know it spreads very quickly. We know it can be dangerous for some people, but we're doing everything we can to be here to serve you. So I thank you for your patience. If we have any delays, we haven't really experienced many major delays, but look what's going on in the world. It's happening everywhere. So it's not just us, but we're doing a darn good job to make sure we're here to serve you. The service building that we've been talking about is on pause. We've been going through a lot of numbers and we've been working with the criteria architect to put that in place. What we thought the cost per square foot would be and what was estimated when we started this project has now doubled. And I'm not okay with that. So we have a plan B and kind of a plan C in the works. I will be doing something in the near future. Hopefully by the next meeting, I will be able to give more information. But I'm not giving up on it yet, and I will continue to work on it because it's what's best to serve you from our service department because they desperately need a building to operate out of that will improve efficiency, and the most important piece is how we serve you. So keep that in mind. Winter shifts have begun. I'm sure Mr. Zernak, our interim service director, will bring that up. The guys started, I believe, was it January 2nd, Steve? So they're out there. You may see trucks at night working and doing things. We will do things quietly if we're in any area, but obviously if there's an emergency, we're going to have to take care of those. And if you see a truck, just know that we have 24-hour coverage at this point, and again, to serve you. I'd also like to congratulate Jessica Brandt and Mr. Garvis on your election to president and vice president. I wish you guys well, and I'm here to work with you and kind of been there before, so if you need anything from me, I can definitely help you with that. And last but not least, please don't drive distracted. Put down the phones and drive the car. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the car lately, and it's becoming something it's always concerned me, and it's no secret that I really hate to see people talking or using their phones instead of paying attention to the car or the road. But I was in the car just today, the light turns green, and the lady in front of me was looking down at her phone, and I did a 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000 before I honked my horn, and she just popped up and dropped her phone, which made me happy that she dropped it. But concentrate on the road. It's so dangerous when you're in a vehicle and you're not paying attention, especially when you're moving. End rant. Okay, that's the end of the mayor's report. We'll move right into committee reports.
Parks and Rec Committee has its first meeting of the year next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And so far, we're going to be having it in person in the rec center in the activity room. So that's at 6 o'clock.
Okay, I'd like to report that the first JED meeting of the year will be held on Wednesday, January 26th at 1800 hours or for 6 p.m. for you civilians. And it will be here in the council chambers. Thank you.
Any other committee reports? Hearing none, we'll move into department reports. Again, you may see our department heads are spread out. That's for good reason. Any department head, when you give a report, I'll ask that you come up to a microphone if there's not one in front of you. So we'll start with interim director, Mr. Zernak.
The service department has been busy picking up litter, patching holes. You'll see we've had a couple snow events, so if you see our trucks on the road, please be careful. Give them time to do their work. Don't pull up directly behind them. We've also installed 3 new boilers here at City Hall. We've been repairing and replacing streetlights. So been doing that, and hopefully we'll be breaking ground next week on Veterans Memorial Bathroom. So I know it's a long-awaited project, so hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, we break ground there.
Thank you. And I'll also add that we had a complaint come through about excessive salt on the roads. I don't know what to say about that, but what I will say to you watching this is that we want to make sure that you're safe when you're driving on our roads, and we never put down excessive salt. There are instances where, if you guys all noticed when you drove the other day, because things kind of dried out and it got a little dusty when you drove, but you know, the amount of salt we're putting down is appropriate for the need. We're never gonna use it excessively to where it's not warranted. So everything you see on the road is what it's supposed to be, and we will work our hardest to make sure those roads are clear and safe for you to travel on, and that's our #1 objective. So if you think there's excessive salt, I would politely disagree with that, but just know that it's there for your safety.
Mayor, I would also like to thank Mr. Zernak. After they had already started the crew changes over and different other jobs, we had a break in the weather where there wasn't too much that could probably be accomplished. And Mr. Zernak sent his crews out for the last time, obviously, doing a leaf collection. And I got to tell you, I really appreciated it because they did a good job the first time they came around, but a lot of stuff blew back into my culverts and other culverts I know in my development. And these guys did a wonderful job on a nasty, dreary, wet day and went around, and I did hear, as I told Mr. Zernak, I called him personally and thanked him for that, but I did hear from other residents that, boy, it was nice to have a not planned pickup, not knowing what they were going to do at that time, what the residents were going to do with the rest of those leaves. Thank you so much.
And while we're on that topic, because I forgot to mention this, but we are still searching for our new service director. Like everything else in the world right now, we're not seeing a whole lot come through with that. So the search is on. We have done some things to bolster that search nationwide. So we're hopeful that we'll get some qualified candidates to come through that hopefully will fill that position. And as that comes about, we'll let you know on that too. All right, next up is Mr. Gelati.
Thank you, Mayor. Since we last met, everyone, as you may have noticed, the new monument sign over at Golden Link has gone up. Looks really nice. It's got the logos for all the businesses in the shopping center on the sign, so that's a good thing. The contractor is still working, has a little bit of work to do for the electrical hookup for the lighting on the sign, but otherwise it looks good over there, and the timing works out really nice with the Optima Dermatology site immediately next door, which we expect construction to begin very soon. You may have noticed there's security fences in place and their equipment has been mobilized to the site. So all good stuff on Golden Link. End of report.
Thank you. Director Chaddock.
Thank you, Mayor. Figured I'd expedite things quickly by getting in line and starting that process. I'd like to congratulate Council Members Garvis and Brandt for their newly elected roles. And I would also like to congratulate Councilmember Brandt for joining us again on PRC. We look forward to another wonderful year. Your help has been fantastic as we've gone through, especially my transition to becoming Parks and Rec Director here. Supervisor interviews are concluding next week. We have final interviews on Tuesday, and we have some great candidates that we're very excited about. We have a big plan for the spring. We are going to be producing a activity guide, which is basically our program activity guide. We have not produced one as a department in about 12 years. So coming up this spring will be the first one in quite some time. It will have everything for the end of spring and all throughout the course of the summer. We're very excited about that. A lot of work is going into that right now, so I really want to thank Sam Edgar for all the work she's doing on producing that, and also Brad Wisniewski for all the work that he's doing to plan the entire summer of activities for both summer camp and our sports programs. Our AEDs, 4 months ago, you remember me talking about AEDs. They got delivered last week. We're pretty excited about that. We will install them outside in the parks in the spring. Certainly going to wait till the weather breaks for that. A number of projects we are getting prepared to work on now are the trail projects, sound system being put in Fitness Room 2. getting new office flooring, and then of course our HVAC systems. We will go through some planning on that next week. That concludes my report. Thank you.
And just to give a little more insight to that, the forethought, I want to thank Director Chaddock, but more so Sam. We're already thinking about Christmas lights for next year because we have to replace them. We're also going to light Veterans Memorial next year, which I've been asked about many times, and we're trying to just do this incrementally, and we did budget for some lights for over there. So you'll see Veterans Memorial next year lit up like Christmas. So good stuff. Thank you for me, please.
Absolutely.
Director Veras.
Thank you, Mayor. Today we send out the reports for the end of the year. We closed the year late yesterday afternoon. We didn't have a lot of expenses. That's why it was only one page, Jessica. So.
Of 21?
Yeah, 2021. That's why our general fund balance went up. So the city's in good fiscal shape. It was a good year, and we look forward to keeping that momentum going. And I'll send out the complete report after the meeting.
Do you happen to have the general fund balance in your head?
Top of my head, the general fund balance.
It's over 4 million. 4.8?
No, 4.3 or
4.28?
4.4. Now that's just the general fund, but
Right.
keep in mind we set aside for for the audit. They include the retirement reserve. They include the compensated absences, technology advancement balance, which that adds up to. You'll see on the one-page summary that I give you guys. That's over 6 million, I believe.
You're talking in terms of the unencumbered, and just to be clear, because this question may come up, it's always good practice in government to have a 20% unencumbered carryover. And for the first time ever, I think we're there that, Mrs. Tully and I have tried to accomplish that for many years, and we finally made it. So pretty proud of that.
You're definitely there. You're closer to 50% if you look at the audited unencumbered general fund balance.
Yeah, it was under 1 million at one point, so it's pretty impressive that the work that everyone's done, and plus, once again, thanking the voters for passing 2 levies to get us there.
Well, when I started, the carryover was $60,000.
Well, keep in mind, on top of that, we have encumbered funds in our planned capital program as well, which came from the general fund. So you also have a savings plan in place.
Very nice.
Yeah, thank you very much for your fiscal handling.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. Nice job, sir.
And all the directors too for all the work. Everyone's still, I think, working under the same way that we were before when we didn't have the money, and everyone is doing a fantastic job spending wisely.
Yes.
Stuff like the police department and the fire department and even service is looking ahead, making sure that you guys are really doing a good job with the residents' money.
Yeah, they check with finance quite often and availability of funds. So.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Chief Ripley.
Thank you, Mayor. I have some year-end report numbers to talk about. First of all, December of 2021 was by far our most calls we ever answered in a month at 446. That's district-wide. In Macedonia, we were about 230 calls. When we started this district, we had the number that was kicked around, numbers I came up with at the time, were about 3,600 calls a year. And last year, district-wide, we did 4,269. Comparison for that is when we started the district, we had 3,600 to where we are now. And Macedonia's calls have gone from, in 2017, 1,701 calls to 2021, we were 2,140. So a lot of that call increase is within Macedonia. And quite frankly, a lot of it this year was COVID related. But the call volume, aging population is in fact increasing. To elaborate on the numbers the mayor spoke about with COVID, as I stated, we're over 1,000 hours in the fire department. That's just since December 1st. I had 3 more people go down this week. And we're working around it. Calls are getting answered. The most difficult day was it hit us hard the week before Christmas. So we lost 84 hours on Christmas Day. So my hat's off to the gentleman that had to work, because it was the same people that worked Christmas Eve had to stay on and work Christmas Day during the day. It's the way the system works. Did a phenomenal job, and we're covering for each other and getting by. I'd like to thank the service department for controlling the amount of snow we have not had this year.
They were loving leaves so much.
But when it does happen, it is Northeast Ohio, it's going to happen. Please do not bury your fire hydrants. If we need to get to that hydrant, we need to be able to see it and access it. Every year, people will bury it, either plow truck operators doing driveways or someone shoveling their driveway. Keep an eye on it. If it gets buried, unbury it. If you're not capable, call us, we'll come out and do it. Okay, those hydrants are very important. We don't use most of them all year long, but when we need it, we need it. So does anybody have any questions?
Chief, do we have any fire hydrants that are not operable at this time, or has everything been repaired?
Very few. Cleveland Water's been doing a very, very good job.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to thank the families of the firefighters that were working on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. That is amazing to put your lives on hold for the sake of the people of Macedonia and Northfield and Sagamore.
We did. I'd be remiss not to mention yesterday was Don Bell, Inspector Don Bell's last day, retired. We did not do anything for him at this point, once again, because of COVID. So we'll be doing something in the future, bringing him into a council meeting when it's a little safer to do without exposing everyone. But Don was with us full time for almost 16 years, and it was a second career for him, so it's a very well-deserved retirement. He is going to still come in and help us out because there's a lot of expertise there. So maybe 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week, keep him busy, and born and raised in Ardonia Hills and never left. So now he's retired here. So congratulations, Don, but you'll hear more about that in the future.
And the safety of our people is important, which is why we all wear masks. So thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Golden.
Well, seeing how Chief Ripley brought up snow, when it does snow, because it will, if you can refrain from parking on the street, to let the service department clear all the roads as opposed to going around cars and then there's a big pile there. So please don't park your cars on the street when it snows or it's anticipating to snow overnight, and let them do their job. Police department is waiting for next Wednesday when civil service meets to certify the sergeant's promotional exam. Sergeant Hathaway moved on to a different career effective January 8th. So we're looking forward to filling that vacancy, and hopefully they will certify the dispatcher's entrance exam. We have 2 openings in our dispatching ranks, and we're hoping to fill those also. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Director Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. HR is finalizing the first of the year updates. We're adding vacation comp time, getting our medical deductions up to speed, and then trying to close out the end of the year things. So this first payroll, first half of the month is pretty crazy for Patty and the department as a whole. The hot topic seems to be COVID, and it's no surprise to anyone that a lot of trouble getting tests. So the city has reached out, and we were able to purchase some home tests that we did just get in yesterday, and we did put an email out to all the department heads letting them know that if you have an employee who is symptomatic and is unable to get testing on their own, we're going to provide those tests to try to help alleviate that problem, because when I was out and I was sick, I was on the phone for over 3 hours calling every drugstore trying to find that test, and it's almost impossible. And also effective this Saturday, thank you to President Biden, who now has required insurance companies to cover the cost reimbursement of 8 tests per 30 days for every member on our insurance plan, MMO's plan. So starting now, you can purchase the tests if you can find them, and the insurance company is going to reimburse. I'm sure there's going to be more information coming out about that but that was the most recent information that we've received from MedMutual, and we've provided that information to our employees. Thank you, Mayor. End of report.
Annette?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Smith? I would just like to throw a little thing out at you from the information that I have gotten and seen, that if you want to buy more COVID tests from the local drugstores, the delivery is on Fridays. Hit them up on Fridays, the first thing, because they're gone. Last Friday, Walgreens had 2,000 of them delivered on Friday. They were gone by the end of the day. CVS in Northfield, same thing. That is the issue. You got to it's just like buying ammo. You got to be the first one in the store when the truck gets unloaded.
Good information. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Director Collins.
Thank you, Mayor. It's weird coming up here. Hi, everyone. The IT department closed 33 tickets since the last meeting. Major things I've been working on has actually been held up waiting for hardware. I've got a couple of projects that I ordered some hardware for, and unfortunately everything with a microprocessor or a chip is near impossible to get. So I've got 3 printers on back order waiting to be replaced, and a couple of other wireless projects to extend some wireless functionality. End of report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before, I forgot to ask Jason, but I have you typing it in. How are we doing with the Wi-Fi at the rec center?
The Wi-Fi at the rec center isn't the issue. It's the leased fiber connection from here to the rec center that's the issue. It's bottlenecked. We were getting uncapped leased fiber before, and when Spectrum Charter Communications did their hub upgrade, they upgraded it for everyone and they gave us a capped connection. So we were paying for a 25 meg connection. We were using a whole lot more than that. We've now upgraded it to a 200 meg connection. I still don't think it's doing the job. So I'm looking into other options. I've looked at us starting our own 5G cellular network. That's astronomically expensive, so that's really not an option. I've been looking at some short wave microwave options that might be able to give me between 1 and 10 gigs of point-to-point connectivity. If I could get that and we own it, we'd be able to get away from leasing the fiber in the interim until we can own our own fiber in the ground. I hope that sort of answers your question.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chaddock, for calling the resident and working with the front desk to better explain, because there's major issues with, when you run, you want to listen to your own music and your Wi-Fi, and they weren't always able to do that. So I appreciate it. It's more important that the front desk has the Wi-Fi and offices do. So I appreciate your continued look.
Yeah, we've got for their
5G, I'll invest.
What'd you say? Well, I got a quote from a company down in Texas, and it was $200 and some thousand. So
it's bucks.
Yeah, it would be great, but I don't think we have $200,000 hanging off a tree somewhere to use. So, so I'm looking for a more cost-effective solution, because unfortunately, right now the leased Spectrum connection is not doing it, and I just keep turning it up, and it's more and more incurred costs, and it's.
Is it more so during the day?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Because that's when we have the most users.
Yeah, and I've got quality of service in place for the VoIP traffic. I speed tested today from the server. I was getting about 90 down, 90 up. I mean, that'd be phenomenal for your home internet connection, but unfortunately, when you have that many people at the rec center, 90 down, 90 up is nothing. So we're definitely dealing with things on a scale that is different from your home network, and unfortunately, all their traffic goes through that pipe. So I'm working on it, but I don't see Spectrum as being a long-term solution at all. And so that really changed the game for us. It was one day it worked and the next day it didn't.
Thank you both for jumping in and for having the call. Thank you.
All right, next up, I guess you'd be called Commissioner Rhodek.
I know that sounds impressive. Very impressive. Good evening. I thought I'd just bring you up to date with a couple of the projects that we have brewing coming up in our city. As Mr. Gelati mentioned, the Optima project, you can see the fencing around there. They're going to start the staging. I expect them to actually start construction sometime next week. In Macedonia Marketplace, the Wayback Brewers project has resumed construction. The owner's looking to have that project complete within the next 90 days. Across the street from there at Gateway Plaza, construction documents have been approved for the Burlington build-out. It's about 20,000 square foot. The plaza owner is working with our architectural consultant, trying to manage the Western Reserve style of architecture with the existing building and the new facade that he will employ moving from PetSmart moving to the west. I expect to see them at the Planning Commission in the next month. And lastly, and not in any subdivision area, Peak Nano has begun phase 2 of their research and development in their plant on Roland Hole Parkway. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Gaddetti.
I have no report, sir.
Okay, do we have any unfinished business? Do we have any new business?
Mr. G, there was a new pole installed, I gather, at Legend South Freeway that has antennas on it. Do we know who put that up?
Is that the really tall one?
Yeah, but it's
Mark?
got stuff all over it with lights and.
Where's the location?
It's the real high poles that they were, remember we
It's South
talked?
Freeway and Legend.
Yeah, I vaguely recall that, and I think I have a schematic for it I could forward to you if you'd like to see it.
Who is it?
I can't remember off the top of my head who
Okay,
it
if you
was.
could let me know.
Sure.
Would you mind
And
copying
do
me on
they own the
that?
property
Sure.
that they put the pole on, or are they the utility that they're?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Isn't there something in the law, though, that with whatever was happening with all of that they didn't need permission?
Yes.
To
So, yeah, that was the
Put a
small
pole.
cell litigation that we were involved in, and, that ended up getting resolved through some pretty lengthy settlement discussions with the coalition of municipalities that were fighting it. And yeah, part of that legislation was a limit on the ability of municipalities to object or restrict the location or try to impose landscaping requirements, all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, if you could just send me something.
Sure.
The residents obviously around there are like, where did this come from?
I know you
And
said
if you
you,
notice, you have more blinking lights everywhere because you have to at night, it has to have a light on
For certain, I can't remember.
well, drones more now because they're all over the place.
I know you said you don't know who it was. Do you believe it's a carrier, like a telephone carrier, or you don't
I
know?
believe it was,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I saw it too, and actually took a photo of it, and I forgot to ask.
Yeah.
Might as well send it to everyone then.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
I have a couple more. One, if you're going over to Best Buy, they're only doing Geek Squad and pickup here in Macedonia. I went over there the other day, Mr. Hoover knows, I was getting a new printer, but I wasn't buying the kind Kyle's getting. They're closed, they don't have enough employees.
Oh, wow.
So the only way you could do it is you would have to make a Geek Squad appointment or order online and do pickup. They're the only one, according to them, that is closed. But it was like, I want to touch and feel and see, so.
Jan,
Um,
they were supposedly going to open today. I stopped up there yesterday to see what was going on, and the manager said they were possibly going to open today, so it's going to be an intermittent thing with them.
And everyone's having a tough time getting employees, so if you need a job, go talk to them. The other question, when you walk in, we have that little metal stand that has various flyers. Who takes care of that?
In the lobby,
Yeah.
it's kind of a common place for anyone who has information they want to put out to put it into there.
Well, I thought you volunteer to take care of it. Join the 2020 census team is in there. Head Start Preschool, July 7th of 2021. And your report is March of 2020. So I'll be glad to clean it out and then on a monthly basis do that. It's just that a resident who was looking for your current
Current newsletter.
messenger, and that's the one that's in there.
Oh, wow.
It's like, oops.
Well, thank you for letting me know. I'll definitely take care of that.
Yeah, I have no problem. In a month, I'm here anyhow. I just go out and clean them out. Okay. I want to say a couple good things. Congratulations to the Nordonia boys bowling my favorite gym class at Nordonia was bowling. And I told you how old the bowling alley is over on Valley View. They won the Buckeye High School Classic in Columbus. We were number one. There were more than 20 teams in that. And I don't know, when you start bowling, if you're not in the groove, you can get so distracted. But I want to say congratulations. Also, congratulations to the girls golf, Christina Nagy. She was nominated for Golf of the Year by the Greater Akron High School Sports. So she's one of numerous nominees, but, it's pretty amazing. That's another sport. I've never been good at it. Give me a water hole, where's my ball going? Right in the water. I don't know why I even try to golf, but I have to find out if she started out at Tupelo.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a good thing.
I'm sure she hangs out there.
That would be a good thing to know. But I'd like to say congratulations to both of those, especially the bowling team, gosh. If anybody else doesn't have anything, I'll do my motion.
We're good?
Okay, make a motion to enter into an executive session to discuss the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Sections 121.22G1. Thank you, Mark.
Second.
That's a lot of words.
Roll call. Ms. Brandt?
Yes.
Mr. Finley?
Yes.
Mr. Garbus? Yes. Ms. Tully?
Yes.
Mr. Ventura?
Yes, with an exception, I want to, on record, objecting to the exclusion of Mr. Gaddetti, our law director, and I would like a roll call vote on that. I believe that our legal advisor should be in on all meetings, and especially something of this nature.
We didn't do anything of who's invited in. I didn't make any comment yet.
So, Mr. Ventura, you could make a motion to include anybody you'd like if you want that voted on. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a vote.
Okay, thank you.
But normally, we just say for council and the law department, we don't make a motion, we just say it.
So-
You're invited, Mark, since he's offended. Oh, and we're going to come out and adjourn afterwards. Should be long.